Hey, it's Adam here, and this is Adam's Trek. I'm live from the Bat Cave. I thought, since my hip surgery is coming up, that I would create a top 10 list of things that are way scarier than hip surgery. Because let's be honest, like knee replacements, hip replacements, as dramatic as they are fairly routine. And if you're someone like my wife who's had like 20 some surgeries, she's just like, don't worry about it. Like, get over it. It's just hip surgery. So there you go. So there's a lot of things way worse than hip surgery, and a lot of people out there dealing with a lot of things way worse than just that simple little thing. So here's my list. So number 10, global pandemic. Obviously, I have to throw that one in there. And then with that comes number 9, zombies. Right? Terrifying, very gross. I don't like zombies. Number 8. A ravine. Okay, so when I was growing up, I lived on one side of a ravine, and a lot of my friends lived on the other side. And in the middle of this ravine, this path that went kind of down and then up the other side. And late at night, especially as we got older in like high school, we'd be hanging out at each other's houses. You'd have to walk home down into the darkness there, and then up the other side. And let me just tell you, there's like nothing terrifying. I never ran so fast through there every time. No matter how many times we do it, is just terrifying. Ask any of my friends. Maybe they'll comment on this and elaborate. Okay, here's one. Worms. I hate worms. I think growing up, I was in the sandbox all the time, and then you'd get worms in there, and you like throw them out. But now I'm just like totally revolted by them. First kid home from the hospital. So I remember when we had Evie, my wife was in the hospital for a couple of days or whatever, and then they put her in her little tiny pajamas that were way too big, and then put her in the car seat, and then cinch her up and buckle her up, and then they're like, all right, there you go. And I remember thinking, well, what do you mean? You're just gonna leave her with me? Like, you're crazy. So yeah, that long elevator ride down from, the postpartum recovery, whatever, is just very daunting. Okay, downhill mountain biking. I tried this one time with my cousin, and clearly it is not for me because I was terrified the whole time. It was one of the most stressful experiences I can remember having. So downhill mountain biking, definitely not my thing. It scared the crap out of me. Okay, gravity. So, and this is actually from my buddy Ernesto, who's also about the same side as me. So the theory is this: when you're over 200 pounds, you start to be very aware of your own gravity. So, for example, the swing ride at like Cowley Park, you're always spinning faster and like way further out than everybody else. If you go down a slide, by the time you reach the bottom, you're going way faster than everyone else. If you swing from a vine, you realize very quickly to be aware of the fact that the vine might break. When you fall harder. What else did I write here? Climbing. For me, the notion of like climbing, like mountain climbing, I've tried it a couple times, and just that, I'm hanging by my fingertips with these like giant legs and torso, is just gravity's pulling me down. So yeah, gravity. When you're over 200 pounds, gravity can be terrifying. Okay, last two are a little bit deeper. Truth. Maybe the scariest thing in the world. I remember earlier on in my marriage, as we were learning about marriage and living together, being frustrated with my wife, and it was far easier to be frustrated with her than to look in the mirror and say, hey, actually, you're being a shitty husband. So, truth can get pretty real pretty quick, and that's pretty scary. Failure. Nothing worse. This year with the whole COVID crisis, and, my business essentially was tanked, and we came very close to failing. And luckily we've succeeded now, or are succeeding, but that feel of failure, especially when you invest so much time and energy and you believe in something, there's nothing more scarier than the possibility that you might fail. So there you go. There's 10 things just off my head that are way worse than having your hip replaced. So not so bad, is it? Anyway, 3 more days.